Everyone's calling it another grim milestone in the pandemic, but really, grim doesn't even begin to cover it. A day after the president gave himself an A+ for his handling of the pandemic, we learned that more than 200,000 people have died from the coronavirus in the U.S. so far. That outpaces even the worst predictions from early on in the pandemic. And as Dr. Anthony Fauci reiterated today, we're nowhere near out of the woods.
It's unacceptable to not realize that we are entering into a risk period, and we've got to act accordingly.
And on this first day of fall, we're already starting to see evidence of another surge. After more than a month of steady declines, the number of new coronavirus cases jumped by more than 15% nationwide in the last 10 days, now that schools are back open and the weather is getting colder. That change in weather is hurting some businesses already hard hit by the pandemic, too. Chief among them, the restaurant industry. As we learned from the Massachusetts Restaurant Association earlier this month, nearly a quarter of restaurants in the state that were open on March 1st have not reopened. And many that are back open have been relying heavily on outdoor dining. But while local governments are extending permissions to use certain public spaces for outdoor seating longer, and more state funding is being added for things like sidewalk improvements and outside heaters, many restaurant owners are worried they won't be able to survive the fall and winter drop-offs without more help from Beacon Hill. That's why the group Massachusetts Restaurants United rallied outside the State House today, calling on lawmakers to pass an aid package that includes a fund to help struggling restaurants to help cover rent, payroll, insurance, and they want to put a cap on third-party delivery fees. Among those out there this morning were Tony Maws. Tony's the James Beard Award-winning chef and owner of Craigie on Main in Cambridge. Cheryl Straughter is chef and co-owner of Soleil. It's in Boston's Nubian Square. Thank you both for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheryl, was that a fair summary of what your organization is looking for, or is there more that you're asking from Beacon Hill?
That's a fair summary of what we're asking for. We need support in various areas. You named and highlighted the ones that were critical. And yes, that's what we need. We need support at this time.
Tony, what's the holdup? I mean, what is the argument against providing a lifeline to keep small independent restaurants alive?
A great question, Jim. We would love to know the answer. You know, we were very fortunate that both the House and the Senate in Massachusetts worked, I think pretty hard to get to a certain point where they were both passing bills. But now, because they each have different bills, they've been in conference for almost 2 months. I'm sure that there are a lot of tweaks and a lot of, behind the scenes parts, because this is a very large bill. It's not just restaurant specific, but at the same time, restaurants are closing every single day while, they haven't been able to come to a reasonable, solution or meeting in the middle. And as we get to the colder months, the outdoor dining that is going to lifeline to some, not to everyone, but some is going to go away and we're going to be stuck.
Can we just take one piece of this? I don't mean to be a cynic, but I am. These restaurant delivery fees, this is my words, not yours, are usurious. I mean, 25, 30% are insane. You guys aren't asking that they be eliminated, Cheryl. You're asking that they be capped, I think, at 15%. Can you give me an argument? Can you pretend you're on the other side? What's the argument other than they want to have more profits and they want you to have none? I mean, I really don't get why the legislature is not just doing that like this.
Today, I used an example. I looked at one of my sales, and it was a sale for $23.50. Soleil realized from that sale $12.10. Now, that was an exceptionally high profit margin for the third party. We are not asking that they eliminate it. We are asking for a modest cap.
Can we put this in context briefly from you two? Starting with you, Tony, September of 2020, what share of last year's September business are you doing now?
We are at 30%. And, it's, I wish I could paint a rosier picture, but 30% with the same overhead. And, this is going to be a really interesting period too, because we were fortunate enough to get the PPP loan. This is the last month that we have those funds. Heading into October, we'll be looking at, real rent all over again. And, 30% of our volume, obviously the math is not going to work, and we're not alone.
Cheryl, you doing any better than 30% of last year's revenue or no?
My numbers aren't even 30%. We are hitting 45%, and that's not sustainable. It's just not going to work. And the longevity of our industry is depending on some support from this bill.
Well, I think you both also know today is the first day of fall, and if history is any guide, fall is followed by winter and really cold temperatures. Tony, I know you've got a tent out back. I know, Cheryl, you're doing outdoor stuff too. You have indoor, Cheryl, as well. I know Tony does not. So winter comes, it's 35 degrees, not 65 degrees. What happens at Craigie on Main?
Yeah, another great question. It's the one where I was just meeting with my general manager today, asking that same one, because when this started, it was March. And as terrible, a time as that was, and the pivot, that we all had to do, it was March. It wasn't January. So we don't have the blueprint for this. We don't know what people are going to be willing to do when it's 18 or 30 or 35 degrees outside. And that's why also, the cap on the delivery fees is going to be so important, because we certainly imagine, well, we don't know, but we imagine that more people will be, getting food to go and having it delivered. We need as much of that profit as we can possibly get.
Cheryl, do you have winter plans? We read in the Globe, some people are talking blankets, those heaters, some people even building igloos. I don't know if I could fit in an igloo, but I understand the concept. Do you have a winter plan other than prayer and hope? What is it?
And adding to that is moving somewhere warmer. Our winter plan is trying to survive and trying to stay open. Our outdoor dining right now is a grill style. So people aren't going to sit outside in Massachusetts in 18 and 20 degree weather.
So, Cheryl, you were one of the founding members of a group of Black-owned business owners, specifically restaurants. And you wouldn't use this language, but I will. You're basically asking customers to put their money where their mouth is, particularly in the era of this racial reckoning. Is it happening? Are you seeing any result of this campaign?
So I have seen a slight uptick. There have been folks who have come in specifically because we are a Black-owned business and has shared that and let us know. But it's not going to be just that will get us back in the profit column.
When I'm looking at the two of you, 4 or 5 days ago, Joanne Chang and Christopher Myers were with me. We were talking. They were smiling, even though I think they're suffering through the exact same thing you are with Flower and Myers and Chang. The two of you seem to be relatively measured. Are you not angry about the fact that all of us talk a good game? Politicians talk a good game about how important independent small businesses like yours are, but talk about putting their money where their mouth is. Are you angry, Tony, or you're just plowing ahead?
I'm glad that I come across as measured, because that means I got myself into a good place for this interview. But we're devastated, on emotional levels, on financial levels. We worked really hard in this coalition to bring attention to this industry. We really see that the restaurant industry is not just trying to save jobs now, but we see it as being an important part of what the stimulus has to happen moving forward. And it just seems clear as day with the amount of jobs that we provide, why that's so significant. And therefore, we're just baffled why the government hasn't been acting as quickly as one would imagine.
I don't know if I said, by the way, the bill in front of Congress is bipartisan as well. So, Cheryl, are you just putting on a good face too, or are you okay?
I'm not okay. And I don't think any of the restaurants are just really okay. That's not a recipe for survival. I want our politicians to put their vote where it counts. I think conversation is great, but what is going to get us through is action.
So I know you had an event today, but I bet you a few pals might be watching tonight. Cheryl, starting with you, 15-second pitch to the people on Beacon Hill.
Keep pushing forward. struggle does not come without a lot of different consequences, and we have to keep going.
Tony Maws, how about you?
We are the centers of your communities. We are the ones that have always been there for you, and we are going to be part of the recovery. And without us, everyone's going to have a much harder time. And, just recognize what we can do for you. And that's why we need your help right now.
Amen to you both. Tony Maws, Cheryl Straughter, thanks so much for your time. Good luck with your effort. And if you want to support your neighborhood, local, small restaurant that you love, call your legislator and tell them what you think. Great to see you both. Good luck.
Thank you very much.